I'm human like you, but I'm better than you, and I'm giving you advice. It's a self-help trifecta. Hey everyone, welcome to Nicole Reacts, where I, Nicole, react to marketing guru trainings that I find on the internet. My qualifications for Snark are that I've owned a marketing company for 14 years. I've also started a couple of small businesses during that time. So I've seen kind of online marketing both from the agency owner side of things and from the small business owner side of things, which I think gives me some good perspective. So today's subject is actually the first one that's ever been requested. So shout out to Jessica for saying that I should cover Eric Worre. Now, Eric Worre, it sounds like he started off life in network marketing, aka MLMs, and now has transitioned himself to sort of being a coach of network marketers, probably because he saw that that's where the money is. I first kind of was exposed to the name and the content of Eric Worre through Mac Attack's channel. So I'll link below to the video series that Mac did. It was a 3-part series about Eric Worre's multi-day event for network marketers called GoPro. Was he trying to piggyback off the name recognition for a very, very popular camera company? Probably. So Mac, like I said, he reacted to it as a network marketing training, which is to say a lot of fluff. And so I'm kind of going into this social media training that he's done expecting similar. A couple of talking points, but a lot of fluff. I'm not sure what it is about some of these trainers who think like the more words you say, the better, but here we are. So it looks like today's video is module 3, which is a multi-series of videos that Eric Worre has called Social Media Mastery. So I didn't want to go with the first one because I thought that would be way too much fluff for us. So we're just diving into module 3, which is called How to Grow Your Network of Friends and Followers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself small and kind of put myself to the corner so that we can mostly see his presentation. Now, full disclosure, I actually tried to film this on a different day last week and my internet just was not doing well. So I've since, I think, fixed things. So if I don't have a lot of like surprise reactions to the first 10 minutes of it, that's why. It's because I've actually seen part of this before. But I should be a little bit more expressive after we get past the about 10-minute mark. In any case, I'll tell you what I think. I will use text to do pop-up video style commentary. So if he says something and I don't want to stop the video, I'll just do a little pop-up text to kind of be a little funny aside. And if there's something of length I have to say, I'll obviously pause the video. So this is 41 minutes. So I expect this video is going to be, I don't know, a little over an hour. So without further ado, let's hear from Eric Worre. Now, as we start this, what I want you to notice is that the first part feels very different than the actual start of the video. So I think this video might be pirated. I'm not sure. Okay, don't quote me, but like the feeling of the first 5 seconds versus the actual kind of start of the content. Tell me if you think it also feels different.
All right, welcome back. And now we're going to talk.
Right, seemed abrupt. So I'm not sure if this was taken and put somewhere else on purpose or whether it was actually pirated, but
talk about how to grow your brand. Now that you've established it, or at least got started, okay? And understand the brand is going to be a work in progress. You're going to develop your styles. You're going to develop your, the things that you're going to be known for. That's going to happen over time as you start to really step into this. But at least you've identified your interests, okay? Your passions, things that you care about, the things that you strongly disagree with. Those things have kind of created this brand now, right? Whether it's hobbies, interests, whatever it happens to be, passions that you can use to now start attracting people into your world, attracting people to become one of the 3 F's that we talk about: a friend, a fan, or a follower. Okay, so if they follow you, or they're a big fan of yours, or they're one of your friends, we want to start building that. And again, we're still dealing with the personal side of social media. And my strong suggestion is you start in Facebook. That's where most of the people are. Platform lends itself to what we do as more than most of the other platforms. I believe all of the other platforms at this moment. So I want you to be able to, on your personal page.
As an experiment, I'm going to actually speed this up because the fact that it took him a minute and 12 seconds to say that we should have a network of friends, followers, and fans is a little bit not to my taste. So I have sped him up 1.25 times. So normal playback speed is 1. I've sped him up a little. So let's see if this makes it a little bit more watchable. But if it sounds like he's talking a little fast, it's because he normally doesn't actually speak this fast.
Page now, develop your brand and develop some influence. Okay. We'll expand on that on business pages and fan pages and stuff like that in future modules. But first part of this is, now that you've established, hopefully, or you're in process of establishing and creating your brand.
Oh my God, this is so much more watchable.
Is to build a base. Okay. If we're going to grow your brand, we need to build a base. And what I mean by that is we need to start to populate your page with posts and information, content that is in alignment with your newly thought about brand. You know, what are the things that you can put into your page that's going to start attracting people that align with your values, people that align with your interests, people that align with your passions? Okay. So let me talk about all the different things that you can do inside. And I'll share, some of my stories, some of what I've done, and I'm going to give you some of the best. What I'm going to share right now is best practices of the 77 people that we interviewed on this in alignment with the brand.
So at least one other time besides this, he mentioned the 7 people they interviewed. I don't know if the 7 people to interview was part of an assignment that was in one of the first 2 modules, like that. Maybe to figure out your brand, you should go and interview 7 people and ask them questions about what they think about your business and that kind of thing. Or I don't know if he's just chosen 7 people he thinks are doing branding well and has gotten things from them. But 7 is a pretty small sample size.
So I'm going to give you all the categories, and we're going to talk about frequency, and we're going to talk about how often, how you should vary these different types of posts. But let me walk through all of them. First is just a written post. It could be a comment, it could be an idea, it could be an observation, but a written post that's in alignment with your brand. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be an article. That's a different category. I'm just talking about a post. Here's a comment. Here's the thing. I love, if it's about gardening, you could just, I just love anybody who likes chrysanthemums.
What's funny is he'll mention gardening several times as an example thing you can be into, but clearly he knows nothing about gardening. And so it's almost like he says it and then has this kind of instant regret as he tries to think of an example using gardening. So just, I don't know, enjoy that with me.
Chrysanthemums is a friend of mine, or whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Some comment, some observation, something that is in alignment with your brand, something that you're talking, that is important to you. So written posts is first. Now, none of these are in any order. I'm just giving you all of them. Second is photos. People love photos. Photos is a social media thing. Any photo that you can have that is in alignment with your passion, if you have it, put it up. If you don't have it, find it. Go search around until you find photos that are in alignment with you, alignment with your brand, okay? And put those photos up. If it's photos of you in the environment that is a reflection of your brand, then put those photos up. If you're all about cars, then you need to be putting up a lot of photos of cars. Maybe you with the cars. Maybe you at a car show. See what I mean? Lots of photos that are in alignment with your passion. The next part of photos is what I call.
So I waited till the end of photos because I was really hoping that he was going to say that you should not take photos from random places on the internet and use them on your social media and in your marketing in general. Okay. Because I would hope in 2022, we would not have to have the conversation about taking people's creative work and profiting off of it. But he should have given people some ways to know if a photo was okay to use. So, for example, one place, obviously, you can get photos is yourself. If you take the photo, obviously, you have permission to use that photo because you own it. The second place is that there is a ton of royalty-free stock photo websites. I'll put some links in the description of some of the ones that I know about. But even if for some reason you have to license a photo, so because sometimes, let's face it, the free websites are not going to do it. Typically, the credits that you buy to be able to purchase the photo for use in a project is not super expensive for you to be able to do. But I really wish he would have mentioned attribution, because just taking people's photos is not cool. Let's continue.
Infographics. And this is either a graphic or a photo with a quote on it. And this people.
Okay. Didn't think I'd have to stop again so soon, but infographics are not a photo with text on it. An infographic is a specific kind of graphic that typically communicates information or data in a visual storytelling kind of way. I will link a few examples of infographics in the description and maybe put some on the screen right now. These are infographics. So he's using the term wrong. So if you're looking up infographics, that's what you're going to see. You're not going to see pictures of a sunset with a Helen Keller quote on it.
Love these. These are very shareable, and shareability is very, very important in what it is that you do if you want to expand your reach. It could be your own quote. You could quote yourself. Here's what here's in your particular belief, your quote, and have yourself. Or you can quote another thought leader within your brand. If it's all about cooking, you could quote a famous chef. Okay, you could quote somebody, somebody historical that is recognized inside of your particular niche. Okay.
One of the things that other channels have pointed out is that these gurus use the preposition inside instead of in. So they'll say inside of the group instead of in the group. And he just said inside at a interesting moment there. We'll see if he does it again, but I thought I would say that now in case he does say it again.
So I do that a lot. I mean, whether it's, I'll tag on to celebrities from time to time. Like if there's a Will Smith quote that I love, there's a quote that he has that says, if you're not part of my journey, you don't get to be part of my success, or something along those lines. And it's a strong photo of Will Smith with that quote on top. And you take that and you put that in there, and that's part of the personal development aspect of things that's part of my brand. Now, if you have a celebrity type that has a quote that is in alignment with your brand, use it. Find a photo, put a graphic on top of it. It's very simple to do.
Find a photo, put a graphic on top. Sir, saying something is simple to do. You are training people on social media mastery. Maybe you could give them some tips, not only on how to find the photos, but maybe software they could use, maybe a little bit of design tips. I don't know, something.
Put the quote on top of it. Give them credit for the quote. Don't take credit for somebody else's quote. And you can tag.
I'm glad we can take someone else's photos, but we can't take credit for someone else's quote. At least there's a line of morality there somewhere.
Tag that celebrity because you are helping to tell their story and share their quotes with the world. Now, see what happens when you tag a celebrity or tag somebody that you're quoting, whether it's Richard Branson or Robert Kiyosaki or Tony Robbins or any public figure, that when you tag them, all of a sudden their fans start to see your stuff. Now, if a person is not connected, they're not in your photo, or they're not connected with the post at all, and you start tagging those people, number one, you're going to get in trouble with the platform. Number two, it's just really bad form. It's just going to offend everybody if you go do that. If it's appropriate, tag them. If it's not appropriate, don't tag them. Okay. But
we're 7 minutes into social media mastery, module 3. There was 2 other modules before this.
I do that quite a few. There's a famous meme, an internet meme with Robert Downey Jr. just doing this. He's rolling his eyes. And the quote is that face you make when somebody says network marketing is a pyramid, right? So that's what I use. So you could use that face you make when somebody doesn't understand the power of flowers, or that face you make when somebody, doesn't know how cool fast cars are.
Please appreciate the flowers plug there. But the reason that there is a different word for a meme than an infographic is because they are 2 completely different things.
that face you make when somebody, doesn't know how cool fast cars are or whatever you want to create, and you got to quote with a celebrity to be able to do that. These things, the key to starting to build this base is shareability. If people get something that's cool that they can share with their friends, that their followers, whatever, their community, one of the biggest things you want to make sure is you have something that's shareable. Is it in alignment with people who are interested in the same thing you're interested in? If it's about women power, you could have some strong woman or some strong woman quote every day. If you did one, if you built a brand on woman power, you could have a different celebrity woman with a powerful woman quote every single day, couldn't you? That wouldn't be hard to do. Find a great quote from a powerful woman, women, political leaders, women celebrities, women business leaders, whatever it happens to be. And all of a sudden, that's going to start getting shareable because everybody's going to go, yeah, dang right.
How's this for a powerful woman quote? I will probably learn more from a quote from a powerful woman than I have from the 8 minutes this guy has been presenting.
Right. I'm going to share this with my people because, I'm powerful too, right? So you start thinking about ways to build a base. And what I mean by building a base is when people come to your page, I want them to see more than just 1 or 2 posts. I want them to see that you have some substance in there, that you've started to establish a foundation of your brand. And this is what all the people we interviewed told us about, is to make sure it's in alignment and make sure you get enough quantity of actual stuff that's in alignment, not stuff where you're talking about your network marketing business yet, okay? We're not even talking about that. We'll get to that. I'm just talking about building your brand now and building a base on that brand, okay? So written posts, photos, infographics. I love infographics. If you go see Network Marketing Pros fan page, you're going to see tons of infographics. Every day, there's different infographics that go up there. Now video on your platform, on your Facebook page, video. Go search and find YouTube videos that are in alignment with your brand, that don't distract, that are in alignment, that complement your brand, and share those YouTube videos on your Facebook page. And those people will start to share, and those people will start to share. You can put your comments on it too. Hey, I totally agree with this. Hey, check this out. For people who are fans of this, hey, you might want to check this out. You can go find those. They're very easy to find. Go find them and share them. Put a little commentary on them, and you become.
So I'm guessing Eric Worre at this stage in his career does not actually maintain his own social media accounts. I'm guessing he has a team who aggregates content and also creates content to post on his various channels. And so he's a step removed from the process, or hasn't done it in a while himself. And let me tell you, there is nothing I hate more, whether it's someone talking about my job or someone talking about someone else's job. If you do not do the job on a regular basis, you don't get to say how easy or how quick it is. And finding good content takes time. And I will use something within our company as an example. So I hired somebody at the beginning of December. And what I like to do with new hires within the company is I like to put them on a few internal projects first. Typically, it's because I let my own things go that need doing. But also it's so that we can develop a working relationship. And if there is a mistake made in the process, that the mistake is our company's and not on client stuff. So it's a kind of introductory type period. So one thing that had been on my list for a while was to write some new status updates that we could be sharing on the co-working spaces social media channels. And what I really wanted to do was aggregate a list of useful business resources based in the state of Maine and based in the state of New York, so that if someone is running a business in the state of Maine or someone is running a business in the state of New York, they could follow our page and get some really useful information. Maybe it's a directory that is really well organized about how to find different funding opportunities. Maybe it's a cool yearly event that I've attended that is free or relatively low cost, where other business owners can meet each other, that kind of thing. And so what I did was we started a spreadsheet, and I put like 3 links in there, and I wrote some sample status updates that went with the links. And I said, okay, this is the kind of thing I'm looking for. And we're aiming for like 50-ish links for each state. I don't know how much is out there, but like that's what we're aiming for. And so it took her about a week, and she felt awful. She was like, oh my God, Nicole, it took me so long. I got to get better at this. I was so slow. And I said, no, like that's how long it would have taken me. Because here's the thing, every link you find is not going to be useful. You're going to click on that link and look and see copyright 2015. Oh, I guess this organization, isn't really a thing anymore. And, that's just one example. Or in another example, she had found a resource, but it was like a little bit too specific. It was like, it was something about, for people who run rental properties or something. And I don't necessarily need to share information that's specific to a certain kind of business. If it was like service oriented businesses or something like that, if it was a pretty big category, that was fine. But I think we ended up with like 43 or around that for each state. And between the time it took to find them, write the status updates, edit them for grammar, create the images, and schedule them in our software, it was one person's 2 weeks of one person's time. So it was 80 hours of time for that 80-ish pieces of content. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense because, like I said, not everything you find is going to be useful. So Eric Worre saying to go watch some YouTube videos and share them on your page. You might go watch 5 or 6 YouTube videos and maybe one is shareable, maybe 5 are shareable, or maybe none of them are shareable, but you don't know until you watch them. And it takes time to consume the content and decide whether it's share worthy or not. In addition to also taking time to make an image or to write some text or whatever creative that goes into the actual post. So anyone who tells you content is easy, I'm a little bit suspicious of, and I was already suspicious of this guy.
Kind of, you're becoming a curator of content around a particular theme. Like I'm a curator of content around network marketing. You could become a curator of content around gardening. You could become a curator of content around having amazing relationships with your significant other. You can become a curator of whatever it is you want, but you go out there into the world with a few clicks of, keystrokes.
Be careful about commoditizing relationships. I'm just going to say that.
You can find great content that you can share that's inspirational, that's powerful, that's validating, that does all the stuff that you want to do for your brand. So go find some YouTube videos and on a regular basis, post something in there that would be valuable and would be interesting. Okay. Now, in addition to that, Facebook Live is a really cool, relatively recent development where you can take your phone and you can go live to your community on your Facebook page and you can just talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. So let's say you have an idea about whatever your passion. You just got a tip, a suggestion, an idea. You can turn the camera on, or let's say you're a car enthusiast and you're at a car show and they're auctioning out cars. Would that be a good opportunity to turn on a Facebook Live and say, let me show you some cool cars? And, check this one out, check this one out, check this one out, check this one out. And people not only can watch that live and interact live, but if you make it relatively interesting, it's shareable.
I will say if you're going to go live, we have to be cognizant that the people around us have not elected to be on video, have not agreed to be broadcast on the internet, and have that recording saved and viewed. So in the car show example, I will say if I wanted to film that, what I would do is I would get pretty close to the kind of front of the car show, and maybe I would film the auctioneer with the cars. I feel like an auctioneer, if you're standing at a podium and you're like being a public figure, the sort of implicit thing is like you might be filmed, right? Because you are playing a public role in that scenario. Now, if someone is walking around the cars, if I'm walking around the cars with my theoretical child, for example, I have not elected to be a part of your broadcast. And in particular, we have to be careful when minors are involved. I know this from my work at the paper. When I worked at the newspaper, we would have to get written permission slips if we were going to run photos of a kid in the paper. And I know that in at least one case, I had to take down a bunch of photos from a publicly viewable photo album because apparently there was a legal battle going on that the kid was a part of, and pictures of them being online was in violation of what was going on. So if you're going to go live on your channel and there are other people around, just be cognizant that they might not want to be on video, and only have them featured on your video if you have gotten their express permission.
People can watch it later. That video resides inside of Facebook, and that's a major priority for Facebook in order to be able to promote video. So they're going to make sure as many people see that as possible. You never know. If you just stumble across something, all of a sudden that turns into something that can turn viral. If it does, all of a sudden you've got all the friends, followers, and fans that you could imagine. So Facebook Live is an incredible resource for you to be able to share ideas. Give you some strategies for this, all right? And I want you to understand the tools that are at your disposal. It's awesome. The tools that are at your disposal to build a brand. And you're here to build one, right? The tools that are at your disposal. Imagine you happen to have lunch with somebody who also shares your brand values, whatever it is, shares your interests, your passions. You can turn on a Facebook Live and you can do just an instant interview with that person and ask them 3 questions, right? Question number 1, tell me this about our passion. What do you like best about? Question number 2, question number 3. And if people now their whole audience will see this because you're going to tag them on that. Their whole audience is going to see it, everybody that's connected with them. Plus, all the people who are interested in this particular idea might get shared into those communities. So
if you work for a spammy business and you've ever invited me to lunch and I've said no multiple times, it's because I don't want to be part of your content strategy.
So Facebook Live is an incredible tool. It's in your pocket. It's ready to go. So it starts to brand you as a thought leader. That's the ultimate goal here, is to brand you as a thought leader inside of the sewing genre. You as a thought leader inside of,
oh my God, why?
The motorcycle genre, whatever it happens to be, whatever niche you want to participate in. What the goal is, a year from today, 2 years from today, you're thought of as a thought leader inside of that space. People look to you to see what you think about the latest and greatest, things that are happening inside of that particular passion. Okay. So
now he's just taunting me with how many times he can say inside of in 1 minute.
YouTube videos and Facebook Live, very, very important. People love video. They love short video. They love interesting video. The only rule to that is make sure that you're interesting. Make sure that it's something that's going to be fun. Be transparent. Have fun with it. You could do audio too. You could do a recording of some interview you did with a person, record a phone call and put an audio up there. Say, hey, here's an audio for you to listen to of a quick interview I did with so-and-so. You can go find podcasts that are in alignment with your brand and put those podcasts on there.
So I feel like interview doesn't really fit here. It's not a type of content the way video or photos or written posts are. An interview is like a content category versus a vehicle.
Do you see where this is going? You're a curator of content. You're going to give your perspective. You're going to have celebrity perspective. You're going to have photos. You're going to have videos that are put out by other people. You're going to create videos. There's audio podcasts that are out there that you can share. You have all of this curated inside of this platform. So anybody who's really passionate, imagine you're doing this on flowers. Okay, let's just say flowers. And you have written post, photos, infographics, video, your own video, audio, right? Interviews, all this stuff is in there.
I think it's because when he uses car examples, he's very confident. And I think in his mind, he's thinking, oh, I got to appeal to the ladies. Flowers. So he keeps trying to make flowers happen, and they're just not happening.
And somebody who just loves flowers, it's their thing. They find your page somehow. Do you think they're going to share it with the people that they know that love flowers? Of course they are. And when they share it, now you have a new fan, a new follower, a new potential friend, a new person that you could have a conversation with over time. We're talking about building your influence, building a base. So could you interview all of the thought leaders in your particular brand, in your particular passion? Could you interview them all? Of course you could. That's what I decided to do. I've interviewed so many people. It's unbelievable. Just ask them for their secrets of success. And if you reach out to somebody who's a great flower person or a great car person or a great collector of whatever your passion is, or a super powerful woman, and you reach out to them and say, can I interview you? And you can interview them on Skype.
Flowers, cars, or powerful women. Pick a lane, guys. It's one of those 3.
You can interview them face-to-face. You can interview them with your phone. You can interview them on Facebook Live. You could do a Zoom call. You could do a million different things you can do. But now you have an opportunity to bring value to your community and at the same time tap into their community. Okay? So interviews are big. So another thing is articles. Can you find articles, magazine articles, online articles that are in alignment with what you do? Again, you're a curator. Now, rants. Rants are something that get attention. Occasionally, something will bother me, and I'll go on a rant. And I'll just, if somebody is negative.
Oh my God. Now my new dream is that Eric Worre does a rant about me. I'm going to manifest it.
To my community. If somebody is uneducated and judgmental of people involved in my community, my what I'm known for in my brand, I'll come out and I'll fight. Now I do it respectfully, but I'll go on a rant. People love rants, whether it's a Facebook Live rant or a recorded video rant or whatever it is you want to do. They love it. They absolutely.
Do people love it, or does the algorithm push anger? I think we know the answer to this, right? I'll link a resource below if you want to look into it yourself.
Love it. So rants are great. Humor, if you can have some fun with those infographics, you can have some fun with your posts. You can have some fun. People love, again, shareability.
I feel like interviews, rants, and humor are not vehicles. I feel like they're, I don't know, content ideas or something.
Is important. So people love to be able to share these things. One of the big things that we got from our interviewees was questions. One of the most important things you can do with your community to build interactivity, to build interconnection, okay, to get engagement up, is to ask them questions. They say, hey, I have this problem with this particular thing inside of your passion. Who has some suggestions? What are strategies you use to get past this? And everybody comes forward with their idea, their tip, their strategy. I do this, I do that, try that. If somebody says, hey, I've got this, again, I'm picking on flowers, but somebody says, hey, I have this particular flower. What's the best fertilizer to use? Everybody's going, I use this, I used.
Does anyone else get super annoyed when you're on a Facebook page or group or something and someone asks a question that could very easily be answered on the internet? So here is a better question instead of the one he said about, what soil should I grow this plant in? Hi, everyone. I just got a peony bush and I was reading online that this is the best fertilizer for it. The problem is that we're in climate zone 4, and I see that this fertilizer is only recommended for climate zones 1 through 3. Does anyone in this group have experience growing peonies, in climate zone 4 or in this general area of the world? And if so, have they used this fertilizer even though it says it's for zones 1 through 3? That communicates that I've done my research, and it gives me a specific question to ask people who can actually help me. And those people, I don't mind answering their questions. The first person who's just too lazy to Google it, I will let it sit on red all day.
Eggshells. I use try this and try this brand, and everybody's going to jump in there and create community and conversation. So anytime you can ask a question about what it is that you're passionate about, you're going to get people to engage in that. Along that same line is like surveys. What do you can ask a person to pick a multiple choice answer to a question, A, B, or C, and that gives people another chance to kind of engage.
I feel like a survey is a set of questions that you ask a specific group of people. But go on.
You can put up a photo and say, caption this, right? You can have contests, all different kinds of things that you can do. But understand this whole dynamic, right? You're inside of a passion. You're inside of you are representing your brand. Your objective is to now curate content. Some of it's from you. Some of it's from others. Some of it you find other places on the internet. Sometimes you're going to find other pages that are like-minded or other people who represent the brand that you represent, and you can start to share their posts onto your page, right? Bring their things, give them credit, bring that into your community. But here's
I'm glad we're giving somebody credit.
The bottom line with all this. Bring value. Bring value. That people aren't wasting their time, that there's actually a purpose for this, that they're coming to your page to get something, whether it's an idea, whether it's
20 minutes, post content that brings value and involve other people in that content when you can, and try to make it so the content is clever and interesting.
To have a laugh, whether it's to learn something, whether it's to connect with other like-minded people, but value. That's the name of the game in building a base, is that there's value there. That when people go look at your photos, they see value. When they look at your posts, they see value. When they look at the articles you put, they see value, all right? But for now, let me give you some success keys that are going to be important. as you grow your brand.
So before we head over to the keys of success, I want to do a mini rant here. And I just want to put it out there and see if this bothers anyone besides me. So leave a comment because I'd be really curious. So, you know how there are radio station Facebook pages? Think of like a, a Facebook page that attracts a large group that's trying not to offend anyone. And they'll share like a cartoon or something and be like, what do you think of this? So I'll put one on the screen right now to give you an idea of the kinds of things I'm talking about. Maybe I'll put a couple. But it's just like, oh, I want you guys to fight on my page, but I'm not going to take any kind of stance on it. I think as somebody who has an online community, whether it's an Instagram page or a Facebook group or something else, is part of what you're doing in addition to curating is you're setting the tone. And if you're going to post something that people can have an opinion on, I think it's only fair if you're asking other people to say their opinions that you say yours first. None of this, like, I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm not going to say anything stuff. It annoys me. Does it annoy you too? All right. Let's see the keys of success here. Oh, look at that. It looks like key. I can't believe we spent 20 minutes on that first slide.
In building a base here. Key number one, consistency. You can't just throw out a couple posts. And if you don't get a bunch of likes, you get your feelings hurt and you decide to go do something else. You can't put up a post and come back 2 weeks later and put up another post. You just can't. You have to decide that you're going to be consistent. You have to decide that this is now part of your life. You have to decide if you want to have success in social media, you have to decide that you're going to be consistent daily. That means all those things I talked about, written posts and photos and infographics and videos and audio and interviews and all that stuff. Every day, something down that road has to go up onto your page every day. If you're not willing to be consistent, just stay where you are and do what you want to do, but you're not going to build a brand on social media if you're not willing to be consistent. You have to be consistent. The second part of that is patience. It's not going to happen right away. You got to build a base and you got to attract some people. You got to put some content in there. You got to be consistent with that content until people start to build rapport with you. Once they do that, then they'll start to share. If they see one post, they're not going to say, hey, go follow this person. They're not going to go tell their friends, oh, you got to follow this person because they're amazing if they see one post. They got to see some substance.
So how often do you say to a family member or a friend, oh my gosh, you have to go follow this particular page? I would say for me, it's maybe twice a month. And I'm in marketing, so I feel like I probably do that more than most people because I follow a lot more content than most people. But I like how he thinks that everybody, as your page grows, people can be like, are you following this page? It's amazing. I don't think it really works like that.
First, it's going to take some time. The best thing I ever did in building a brand on with Network Marketing Pro, best thing I ever did is for a full year. I started March 11th, 2009. And for a full year, all I did was bring value, nothing but value. I had videos 5 days. I had probably 200 videos that year for free. I had posts all over the place. I put up articles. I had quotes. And I was patient. They say dig your well before you're thirsty. I dug my well and then I still didn't drink from it. I didn't say, oh, now come buy something. Now come check out one of my events. Now buy one of my products. I didn't say any of that stuff. All I did was build rapport with that audience for a full year before I did my first little product.
So I feel like this statement has a fair bit of privilege in it because most people can't afford to not try to sell something for a full year. I will say it's annoying when people are always selling something. I don't think there's anything wrong though with doing it a little bit on a page that you're maintaining. But also, the social media landscape of 2009 is very different than what it is in 2022. We're talking 12 years ago, okay? So I was 2 years into my marketing company at this point, and the tools were a lot more limited, and the amount of content you were expected to produce was a lot less. So he is starting in 2009 at the sort of ground level of social media. And I don't think it's really fair to say that people could do the same thing and have the same level of success in 2022 with the same strategy.
And it was just a little 1-day training event that I turned into an audio CD series, okay, which we don't even have CDs anymore. But we had, but yeah, I mean, you do, but nobody has any place to play them in. But a little audio CD series called GoPro, right? I put out that audio CD series in another full year before we did our first GoPro Recruiting Mastery event. And we only had 200 people at that first event. But we started at 200 and we were patient and we were consistent and we stayed in alignment with the brand.
It's easier to be patient and consistent when you have money to fund your business and live your life.
And I made many brand mistakes. I'm going to talk to you about that in the do's and don'ts. I made lots of brand mistakes over the course of the 7 years, but I think my sincerity and my authenticity made up for the mistakes that I made in going outside of the brand. And
I'm so curious about what he thinks his mistakes were.
And just losing my way for a minute. And okay, wait a minute. What's my core principles? Go back to that. So success keys that we learned from all these people around the world is consistency, number 1. Number 2, patience. Number 3, the ability to adapt. Just understand that it's going to change all the time. The landscape's going to change all the time. The rules are going to change all the time. What gets rewarded is going to change all the time. When I first started with Facebook, I created a personal page and I raced as fast as I could to get to 5,000 friends. I was friending up everybody all over the place. People I didn't even know, but people were in, kind of like mind. And I'm going to warn you against that in the next module. But I did that. And then I started, they didn't have fan pages back then. They had what they called pages. And there was a page that was, the theme was Network Marketing Pro. I didn't have a website. So I started this page and I started putting up articles on this page. I started putting up, how to think like an entrepreneur, all different kinds of articles on this page. And I built up, and the pages had a max of 5,000. Okay. You can only have 5,000 on that. So I filled up one, then I started the second one and I built up that. And then they launched fan pages. Okay. So I go over to fan page and I migrate all of my people over the course of as many that would move over the course of 3 to 6 months. I moved them over there. And then at the beginning, everybody saw all my posts. And then pretty soon Facebook wasn't letting everybody see the posts. So you had to be more engaging.
Yeah. In 2009, the algorithm wasn't so dismal as it is now. So probably he was able to see success pretty quickly because the Facebook advertising landscape was pretty minimal. And so organic content was being a lot more featured.
You had to get more people liking and commenting and sharing in order to be able to see the post. Oh, okay. So you got to do that. And then all of a sudden Facebook loves photos. Oh, okay. Then let's go into more photos and infographics. And then all of a sudden it's about video. Oh, okay. You got to adapt. You got to move with what's working. You got to see where you're getting response. What people are sharing and what they're not, what people are seeing and what they're not, what they're liking and commenting on and what they're not. See that? Today, this moment, Facebook Live is the biggest thing out there. If I do a Facebook Live within a couple of days, it's over 100,000 people have seen any typical Facebook Live that I do. It's different than, that's different than a photo. That's different than an article. Who knows what the algorithms are, but just understand entrepreneurs adapt. You have to have the ability to adapt. So consistency, patience, and the ability to adapt. Okay.
So one of the most shocking questions I've ever gotten in a workshop, and I probably taught over 100 at this point. I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but there was a period of time where I did a lot of workshops. And I remember this woman asked, can I schedule a year's worth of Facebook posts ahead of time? And like a section of my brain was thinking, okay, would the Facebook scheduler actually let you do that? Or would there be a limit to the number? But the biggest part of my brain was thinking, you've missed the entire point. And I think the reason I was thinking she missed the entire point was if you only think about things a year in advance, it's pretty hard to be adaptable. And yeah, you do have to be adaptable. I will say that his keys are important.
Next is part of adapting is to stay within the platform guidelines. This is the big one that everybody told us, make sure you stay within whatever the platform is, they have guidelines. And if you abuse those, you have to be, you're going to get slapped by the platform itself.
Yeah. If you're using any product, you have to use it with the product's rules in mind. I can't wonder why my pizza didn't come out right if I decided to bake it at 200 degrees for 4 hours. Hey guys, it's editing Nicole. I messed up something right about here, and it would throw all of my word counts off if I didn't put something here. So please let me know what you think of the word counting, if it's interesting, and if I should include it in future videos. Thanks. Are we really saying that you need to follow the rules that you said you were going to follow when you set up an account on a particular website?
Like, for example, if you start liking too many things, like this, you like too many things, the computers and the servers inside of Facebook are going to think that you're a robot, because there's a bunch of robots out there that are just liking things, that are out there trying to spam people. So they like everything. And if you start liking too many things, they'll think that you're a robot and they'll shut you down. Or if you try to friend up too many people in a day, if you try to friend, for example, right now, this moment, if you try to friend more than 10 people a day consistently, they're going to shut you down, for 10 days. And then they'll open it back up again. And if you go right back to it, you try to friend 100 people a day, then they're going to shut you down for 20 days and then 30 days. And then it just keeps going until they just shut you down and don't let you back in.
Yeah, if you violate a rule and they give you a chance to come back, you probably shouldn't continue to violate the rule. This is so weird. This is one of the keys of it.
They don't want you engaging in what looks like predatory behavior. So just understand, whatever the guidelines are, learn from it, adapt from it, learn from other people, what's happening with them. And I'm going to give you the do's and don'ts. So don't worry about that. That's coming next, the do's and don'ts. But just make sure that you are staying within the platform guidelines. Next key, success key, is authenticity. Just be you. I can have big produced videos, even what I'm doing here. You know what? We turn the cameras on. We put some graphics up over here, but this is just me and you talking. Okay. I don't do a million takes. I'm not doing this over and over. It's not fancy editing. What I've learned is, if I can just make a connection with you, and I'm raw and honest with you, if I'm having a great day, if I'm having a rough day, not that you're a complainer, but that you're authentic, that you're real, that you really do represent your brand, that you really are passionate, because people are going to smell the fact, if you're just trying to take advantage of something, you picked a topic and you're not really passionate about it. Number one, you're not going to keep doing it because you're going to get bored with it super, super fast. But number two, people are going to kind of tell, you don't really care about that group. You don't really care about that brand. Authenticity is so critical. And transparency. The fact, one of the things that worked for me is I'm learning as I'm going, and I tell everybody. Currently I do 2 videos a week. I do a network marketing training video a week, and then I do a top earner interview a week. Okay, that's what we do. So we do 104 shows a year, consistent. Set your watch on it. It's consistent. But prior, I would just turn.
It's easier to do 104 shows when you have a camera person, an editor, social media manager. Guess these people who say you could produce, or even imply that you could produce the same amount of content that they could. It's completely ridiculous.
I had a flip cam before the phones got really good. I had a flip cam. I turned on the flip cam and I would talk about whatever idea, and then I'd edit it myself and I'd post it up onto our webpage, and I'd put the links up to different places.
The last time you edited a video was when you had a flip phone.
Send out an email so people could see it. Okay, that's what I would do. And I'll never forget, one of the most popular videos I ever did. I had just finished doing an all day of meetings. I was sitting in my hotel room. I did an all day of meetings, and I said, "Oh, I got to do a show." So I put the tripod, I put the camera on the tripod, and I turned the record button on, and I went in front of it, and I just went. I looked at the camera. I had nothing. I literally, my mind had nothing in it. It was just mush after a full day. And I just looked at the camera for like 15 seconds. And I went, I got nothing. See ya. And I went around and I turned it off. And I said, you know what? I'm going to post that. And I put that video up, and I said, today I had nothing. And everybody just thought it was the greatest thing. They said, oh my gosh, you're a human being. La, 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 la. This is really funny. Another one that I did that was kind of an example of transparency. I was in the middle of a worldwide trip. I had gone from Russia to Europe, from Europe to New York, from New York to Los Angeles. And I was going from Los Angeles to Australia. Okay. And I missed my flight in Los Angeles. And I'd already been traveling like 30 hours. And I've got the stubble on my face, and I've got circles under my eyes, and I'm in my hotel room in the airport. And I said, I'm going to do a show. So I turned the camera on and I said, some days it's work. Here's where I've been. Here's what's going on. Some days as an entrepreneur, it's not glamorous. Some days it's pain. Some days it's struggle. Now you got to make sure that you don't go all the way from transparency into complaining, into being a whiner, into being a blamer. You don't want that. You just want to be real. So I was just saying, you know what?
So I was looking for a certain phrase that what he just said made me think of. So I went on urbandictionary.com and I typed in struggle because I was like, there's something this is making me think of, and I can't think of the word right now. Gotta love aging. And there are pages of results for struggle. There is, the struggle is real. There is a struggle meal. There is the struggle bus. There is so many words for struggle. And I think part of the reason a lot of these phrases were invented was because these are sort of universal feelings, right? We all feel like we're struggling in some way, and something about a struggle meal where, maybe money's a little tight and you make a really weird meal out of what's in your cabinet. Like we can, a lot of people can relate to that. And I think in posting this video of himself, missing the plane and talking about the struggles of entrepreneurship, he's getting on that sort of like struggle bandwagon and making himself relatable. But also, like, because he is struggling while on a across the world trip, it's also a little bit of a humble brag. So I will say that this particular thing that he says did really well video wise, I don't think it was the result of because he was being transparent and authentic. I think it's because he was getting on kind of two trends at once, and people were having a reaction to both the humble brag and also to this idea of, the struggle is real. So I would say conceptually it's more of a thing, unless that his content was that amazing.
Some days it's work. By the time I get to Australia, I'm sure I'm going to be fine. But right now, this is not fun, and I would encourage the entrepreneurs, hey, some days you're going to have days that are like this, that are tough, when it's lonely. There's nobody hanging around. I mean, it's not.
I'm human like you, but I'm better than you, and I'm giving you advice. It's a self-help trifecta.
Exciting. It's not fun. It's just pure work, but it's still worth it. Okay. So everybody, I'll see you later. I'm going to try and get some sleep, and I got to catch my flight tomorrow night now instead of tonight. And I hope the people in Australia don't freak out by the time I get there. So then I did a follow-up video of 2 days later from Australia. Hey, thanks for putting up with me 2 nights ago. That was tough sitting in that hotel room, but look at this crowd and look at what's going on in Australia. And we got the growth and we got excitement. And here's the bridge, and look at the Opera House in Sydney here. This is amazing. Everybody have a great day. Right. So the transparency is important, that you're real. It's not just canned. It's not just super highly produced. People trust and they have a natural connection to some raw stuff. So sometimes we'll have.
Is it raw, or are you using psychological tactics to connect with people?
Raw video instead of highly produced stuff, because I want you to know that I'm here to help you get a result. I'm here because I represent the brand, and I want you to do the same.
This doesn't feel like raw video. He's really well lit. His background is super consistent, and whoever is putting his slides up kind of behind him and to the side, it looks professional to me. It doesn't look like a slapdash kind of video. This doesn't look raw and authentic. This looks pretty produced.
Same thing. So be authentic, be transparent, keep it positive, but be a real fellow traveler inside of your brand. So success keys: consistency, patience, the ability to adapt, stay within the platform guidelines, be authentic, be transparent, and keep it positive. The goal with this entire exercise, the goal in building a base inside of your brand, is that you become a global thought leader, that you become a recognized person in your brand. You become a voice representing other people who have similar passions to you. That's the goal. So,
a global thought leader. So you think everyone watching this video is going to become a global thought leader? I think you're a little delusional.
So that's a lot of information about building your base. Now let's talk about expanding your base. How do you now that you've got some substance into your page, now that you've built a little bit of weight, a little bit of credibility, how do you now expand and find a way to attract people who are like-minded, people who are passionate about the same things you're passionate about? First thing you do number one strategy is seek out the other thought leaders in your brand. Who are the people who have communities already talking about these subjects, the subjects that you're passionate about? Who are the other thought leaders? Like their pages, follow their stuff. And in that process, build a connection with them. Send them a private message and say, hey, I'm passionate about the same things you're passionate about. Maybe we can connect sometime. Maybe we can friend each other up. In the meantime, thanks for putting out the incredible value. What you want to do is compliment them, connect with them and compliment them. And at some point, plant the seed. Now, this is scary for some of you, but just don't be scared. Just start down this process and think about this. If I was you, here's what I would do with every thought leader inside of your brand. Reach out to them, connect with them, compliment them, and ask them if you can interview them. Ask them if you can do a quick, whether it's a Skype interview, a face-to-face interview, a Zoom interview, however you want to capture it, that you interview them and just say, I just want to ask you 3 questions. Or I just want you to, tell your story of how you developed all this success. Give me, give your keys to success, how you made it all happen. So connect, compliment, and interview the thought leaders in your space. Now, they might not respond right away. They might not say yes right away. But if you're persistent, you'll get the interview. I mean, I've interviewed the most amazing people on earth. Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki. Inside of my world, big names, Bob Proctor, Brian Tracy, Jack Canfield, Les Brown, Paul Zane Pilzer.
Can we name one woman?
You name it. Incredible.
Name one woman.
Thought leaders inside of my world, I've interviewed. I've interviewed all the.
If you're a network marketer watching this, what percentage of your company is made up of women? How many women thought leaders has he mentioned in network marketing? I'll leave you with those 2 questions. Maybe I can ask you a third.
$1 million, or not all of them, but all of the top leader interviews that I could find. And we continue to do that on a weekly basis.
It's funny how men make up a huge portion of people in positions of power in multi-level marketing companies, CEOs, board of directors, things like that. And it's also amazing to me how many sort of advisors or consultants advising network marketing people how to run their business are men versus women. Clearly, if women are running those businesses, I don't get why he can't even think of one female thought leader in network marketing.
So is that important? Does that add value? Does that build connection? Does that build community? Of course it does. So find the other thought leaders in your particular brand, connect, compliment, and interview if possible. Now, if you can't interview them, start sharing some of their posts inside of your community. If they have posts that provide value to your world, and they should, if they're a thought leader in your brand, then start to share some of those posts inside of your community. And they'll start to notice the shares, and they'll start to notice the connection. They'll start to notice the consistency. Believe me, I know the people who are consistently sharing my stuff. I know it. And we have a different connection. And if they do that long enough, if they ask me for an interview, the chances are really, really good. So if
they do it long enough, the chances are good. Not that I'll say yes. The chances are good.
Thought leaders is one area of expanding base. Another one is other pages. There might be other pages that are they might not be a thought leader connected, but it just might be the theme of that page. What's the content on those pages that you can share? What's the content that you can find? And this could be on all kinds of platforms. It doesn't just need to be on Facebook. It can be on Instagram. It can be on YouTube. It can be all different places. The ability to share other content from other pages. So you have other thought leaders and you have other pages. Third is like-minded friends. Who can you find? And just search. All you have to do is take your brand and search it. And you'll find people who are passionate about that. Take whatever it is, put it into the search bar and search it. And you're going to find people who are passionate about that subject. And when you do, connect, compliment, connect, and compliment. And from that, the chances of friending those people up and building a broader community of like-minded people are excellent. The key to expanding your base is bringing value, not only to your community, but bring value to those other thought leaders. Bring value to those other pages. Come in and say, hey, great job. Excellent post. Fantastic insight. Thank you for that. Bring value to them. Thank them in a private message. Hey, I just want you to know, I appreciate the effort of you contributing to our community. Thanks for doing that. Bring value emotionally, bring value through your posts, bring value to your own community, bring value to their communities. Let's say they post on some topic and you have something else, a video or something that might bring extra interest to that. You post that video into their feed to be able to provide some extra value, not to sell anything, not to recruit anybody, just to bring extra value. The key is bringing value to your community and to theirs, to connect and to complement and to friend them up. Okay. So through all of this, my experience is
anyone else really suspicious when people are really complimentary right away? My spidey sense is when someone is overly complimentary to me, usually start tingling, and like not in a good way.
If you just start with the process of bringing value to the world within your brand, bring value to your community that you have right now, bring value to other communities that are like-minded, bring value to other thought leaders, bring value to your community in every way you possibly can, it's going to come back to you. You know, anybody who brings value is going to get recognized. Anybody who brings value is going to get followed. Anybody who brings value is going to get, you know, is going to start.
Oh, 77. I thought at the beginning he said 7. Okay, 77 is a lot better of a sample size than 7 people.
Expanding the base, okay? Curate content within your brand, be consistent, be patient, be authentic, and bring value. If you bring value, you're good. If you don't bring value and you're always just asking, or it's boring, or it's not consistent with the brand or whatever, then nobody's going to follow. If you bring great value and you have the whole world with a few keystrokes to do it, you're going to get all the followers you can imagine. Okay. So that is, you're really starting to expand your brand, to build the base, to expand the base. So I'll see you on the other side.
I guess I'm here to say that despite bringing value and being authentic and basically following all the rules that he put in his keys and producing what I think is good content, the fame never really happened for me. Now, I'm not saying that to say that I deserve it, because let's face it, there are some famous people we all know who don't really deserve it, but they're famous anyway. And there's probably people you know who are super talented who aren't at all famous. The reason I want to say this at the end of this video, if you've gotten all the way here, is that you can do all the things that Eric Worre tells you, and it does not mean you're going to be a global brand or necessarily even be successful as a social media page, let alone as a network marketing company. I want you to know that if you follow these gurus and you do the things they suggest, that does not guarantee that you'll be as successful as them. Eric Worre started in 2009. In 2009, Facebook was a lot easier to be visible on than 2022 Facebook. Okay. Fame's a funny thing. And while you can do some things to increase its likelihood, nothing is really guaranteed. So what have we learned from Eric Worre? Well, we've learned that we need to post content that's aligned to our brand. We've learned that we need to provide value and not try to sell people stuff all the time, or ideally, even up to a year after we start our social media channel. We've learned that we can use a variety of formats to provide this information, from texts to video to photos. And we've learned that there's different types of content that we can use, like interviews and rants. We've learned that going live on Facebook is really its most valuable feature at this stage. We've learned that interviewing people can not only provide us good content, but also can connect to us with like-minded people. We've learned that in putting forth daily social media content, that we can become a thought leader, a global thought leader about our subject matter, whatever that happens to be. Could be flowers, could be cars, could be powerful women. We learn that if we do enough great, engaging content, that people will share our page with other people. And we've learned that asking questions gets us engagement on our pages. We've learned that we need to be consistent and patient and adapt to changes. We learned that we need to follow the rules of the platforms that we've said we were going to follow the rules of when we signed up for the accounts. We've learned that we need to be authentic and transparent and positive so that people can relate to us. And we learned that to connect with other thought leaders, we should compliment them and connect with them and bring value to their pages so that we can build the relationship. I'm not sure why that went on as long as it did. I feel like we could have summarized that in about 5 minutes, even with examples. But I feel like some social media gurus, if they need to fill a 6 or 7 module series, have to take that content and add a lot of fluff around it. Now, does Eric Worre know what he's talking about? Well, I will say he's spoken in very general platitudes here. We are on module 3. I kind of thought we'd be getting into the meat of things by now, but maybe he gets into it in module 4 or 5. But I'm willing to bet a 6-pack of your favorite beverage that if I was sitting down with Eric Worre and I turned around my computer with me being logged into my Facebook page and asked him what he would do to improve it, he wouldn't be able to tell me anything specific. And I think since he has talked about editing video from a flip phone, that is probably the last time he's worked directly in some of these platforms himself. So I'm not sure that I would necessarily take any specific advice from him. And I will also say this. I've said it before, but I'll say it here. If Eric Worre's tactics worked, if he was able to replicate the success he himself has had on Facebook, he should be able to pluck a random person off the street, give them his playbook, have him do the exact things that he says to do, and that person should be able to have success at a similar scale to what he's had. I doubt that any guru is willing to do that because they understand as well as we do that success is part timing and part luck. So I will leave it at that. Thanks so much for watching. If you have online gurus or specific videos you want me to react to, please leave them in the comments. Or if you have anything to say about what we talked about today, please also feel free to leave it in the comments. I'd love this to be a bit more of a conversation. And I will see you next episode of Nicole Reacts. In the meantime, check out my live stream playlists on this channel. I give a lot of tactical how-tos on things that I think are really helpful, and you might think they're helpful as well, in particular if you're a small business owner who's trying to do better at marketing your own business or wants to understand marketing better. Thanks again. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Take care.